We've been covering ballot initiatives state by state. Going into Oklahoma, Oklahoma is a little bit different. They only had one measure. In Oklahoma, citizens may, through direct initiative, initiate statewide legislation via ballot measures in the form of either initiated state statutes or initiated constitutional amendments. In Oklahoma, citizens also have the power to repeal legislation via veto referendum. So this is a little bit different on the local level. All Oklahoma municipalities have a mandated initiative and referendum process for local ballot measures. Single subject rule is in place for both initiated statutes and initiated amendments. So we'll go down here. There are restrictions. Initiated measures and amendments are not governed by subject restrictions in Oklahoma. In addition, they are not required to specify a funding source for mandated expenditures. So this is kind of tricky here. This competing initiatives, Oklahoma law provides that in the event that two conflicting measures are approved, the measure with the most affirmative votes supersedes the other on all points of conflict. The other measure is not wholly superseded. Oklahoma law is unique in providing a second chance when two conflicting measures are both defeated. In Oklahoma, if two conflicting measures are both defeated, then the one with the most affirmative votes, provided it received approval from at least 1/3 of the total voters for or against both measures, is resubmitted to voters at the next election. So I want to go ahead and get down here for the number required. The number of signatures required for an initiated constitutional amendment must equal 15% of the number of votes cast for governor. Initiated state statutes must equal 8%. Veto referendums, 5%. Previously rejected measures require 25% of this number in order to be placed on the ballot again within 3 years. So sometimes if you want to run a ballot measure again, there is a waiting period of when you can do this. And so with Oklahoma, it looks like it's 3 years. I have to double check the waiting period for Massachusetts, actually. Okay, let's go ahead and get into, because I'm looking at the time, let's do the measure for Oklahoma. Oklahoma State Question 820, Marijuana Legalization Initiative. A yes vote supported legalizing recreational marijuana for adults 21 years or older, allowing adults to possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana and grow up to 6 mature marijuana plants and up to 6 seedlings, and enacting a tax on marijuana sales. This measure failed by 61.68%. Really interesting. The initiative would have provided a process for individuals to seek the expungement or modification of certain previous marijuana-related convictions or sentences. I honestly think that's probably why it failed. Because I bet some people who were tough on crime saw this and didn't want to let those people out or expunge their convictions. The measure would allow adults 21 and older to purchase and possess up to 1 ounce, 8 grams, grow 6 mature plants and seedlings. And then tax revenue from marijuana sales would be used to finance the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority's implementation of the initiative, with remaining funds to be appropriated as followed: 30% to the state general fund, 30% for grants for schools, 20% grants for government agencies and nonprofits, 10% to the state judicial revolving fund, and 10% to the municipalities or countries where marijuana was sold. So that's really interesting. It does bring in revenue. I can tell you that. We legalized it years ago in Massachusetts. It really does bring in money. I'm just telling you. But in reference to campaign finance, there was over $3 million that was spent to support the ballot measure, and there was $0 spent to oppose. So that's really interesting. Really interesting. And Roger Meadows put this note here: be happy this did not pass because Oklahomans were running the initiative as a state statute, not as an amendment. And the Oklahoma government made it very clear they did not like this law. Even if it did pass, Oklahoman government would have went right to work repealing it. So that's important to note. They could have overturned it. Governor Skid, who was against legalization, was very slick by calling a special election on March 7th. With a population a little over 4 million, and out of that, a little over 2.2 million Oklahomans are registered to vote. Out of that, only a little over 1/4 voted in this election. The governor clearly wanted this citizen initiative to fail. So we really don't have an actual representation of how Oklahomans feel about cannabis legalization. Due to Oklahoma's rules around reempted initiatives that fail, the Oklahoma Constitution says no measure rejected by voters may be initiated again within 3 years unless proponents can gather signatures equal to 25% of the total votes cast for governor in the last gubernatorial election. So therefore, Oklahomans for Sensible Marijuana Laws, the group responsible for getting this on the ballot, unless they're able to muster up that 25% for signature petitioning, will have to wait until 2026 for relaunch so that it can appear on the 2028 presidential ballot where voter turnout is at its highest. Yes, I highly recommend that. Only then will we see how Oklahomans really feel. If they are wise, they'd run this as an initiative amendment. Just hope the governor doesn't hijack it again by calling it a special election. The only way to combat this would be a citizen initiative amendment that says citizen initiatives can only be put on the ballot on midterm and presidential election days. And that was Oklahoma. Thank you for the super chat, Darren. Greetings from PG County, Maryland. What's up? I have family there. Tia Wheeler, what's up? Stein and Baraka were the best team to come out of the Green Party. Sanders even had to consider them a threat. Thank you, Eric. Cornel West and Howie Hawkins as Green Party presidential nomination fight, and how it will go down will tell us all we need to know about the Greens. Yeah, I honestly want Howie Hawkins to leave the Green Party. I think he's like slowing them down. Thank you for this one, Natalie. I got to wonder, why do third parties, once they've gained ballot access, have to get it again and again every election cycle? Democrats and Rethuglians don't. Thank you, Darren. Cornel West wants all to prosper. He loves everyone. By the way, Tavis Smiley is an awesome interviewer. Yep. And thank you for this, Darren. Sabs, a PBS female staffer, charged Tavis Smiley with misconduct. Oh. PBS dropped him without even investigating the charges. Critiquing Obama didn't help. Okay, I didn't know that. Jonathan said, I remember Tavis Smiley came to speak at my school, an HBCU, and so many Black people refused to come to the event because of his criticism of Obama. This was in 2015. Interesting. Thank you for the super chat. None of your business. Has Cornel apologized for his support of Biden and all the deaths as a result? When he does, I may be able to change my mind. So at the very beginning of my interview with him, he said he was wrong about Joe Biden. I recommend watching that interview. And thank you for this as well. Was Abraham Lincoln third party? Yes. So the Republican Party originally was a third party. And thank you, Roger. Oklahoma just did it. Boom. All right.